Dave Wurzel.
I'm Adam Nilsson.
And you're watching Palos Stories Then and Now.
Dave, what's on the agenda today?
I know this is like our favorite corner,
yeah,
right?
We've been here for the fire department and now the paper.
Yeah.
Are we sure we're in the right spot?
It's an excellent question. Yes, we're at 123rd Harlem Avenue. This does seem to be like the nexus of where it all begins. Today on Palos Stories Then and Now, we're actually going to talk about Bartlett homes, which some people in Palos Heights still live in. And we're also going to take a look at what is really probably the birth of Palos Heights and the way we think of it today.
Okay, so you say Bartlett homes. Now, what does this mean? What is Bartlett homes?
So, excellent question. Bartlett, his name was actually Robert Bartlett.
Okay.
Actually born in Texas, not from the area, but he had an uncle who lived in Chicago.
Yeah.
Eventually a brother who had a real estate business in Chicago.
Okay.
His brother Frederick talked him into coming out to Chicago, going to the real estate business with him. He did, and they were partners for a while, and Robert decided to strike out on his own. And in 1932, he ends up opening the first sales office right here for a plan he had.
Okay, so you say 1932, Great Depression.
Yeah.
He's thriving through it, I guess. So what does this entail? Is it like land? Like what is Bartlett Homes? Is he just selling houses? Like what's the business model here?
It's really, that's a great question. There's several things going on. One is, you're right, the Depression is going on. His brother thought this is not a good idea. You're going way outside Chicago because basically this is empty land. There's a farm out here and maybe a farm over there.
Yeah.
The only thing that really did exist, if you remember, was the golf course.
Oh, okay. So the golf course ties into it. We're working around here. We're getting back together.
Yes.
So the golf course was a part of it.
So, no, actually, the golf course was one border of it.
Okay.
All right. So that was one side of it. And what he did is he came in and basically he bought the land that borders from the golf course, so like Oak Park Avenue, right? Oak Park Avenue all the way to like 76th Avenue that way. So he's got lands on both sides of Harlem.
Okay.
All the way to 127th Street that way, and all the way today was Route 83, but at the time was 119th Street that way.
Okay.
And he bought up a ton of land.
Yeah. So he bought all this land, and we know Great Depression. Now, what is he doing with this land? So he just has so much land. What's his plan?
So the interesting thing about that is at the time, he had a really kind of clever marketing vision. I'm going to call it a clever marketing vision because, Palos Park had already existed. It came into, it was incorporated in the early 1900s.
Yeah.
Palos was a destination site for Chicago. If you remember, we talked about fresh, clean water, fresh air, nature hikes.
Yep.
And so he knew the area had a draw, and so those were some of the selling features of Palos Heights. Come to Palos Heights. He divided the land, not all the lots, but into 120 by 126, 120 by 120 feet parcels. So people had a pretty good chunk of land, way bigger than anything they were going to see in the city. And he even did that comparison. Would you like to live here in a city apartment, or would you like to have your own little farmlet type of thing out in the suburbs?
Yeah. So there's that keyword farmlet. I've been around Palos Heights. I haven't seen any farms on any of these properties.
No farms. Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, the last chicken coop was like 1941.
Okay, yeah.
But if you remember, we took a look at his diagram of one piece of property. Do you remember some of the things that were on that property? Yeah,
he had beehives, little fruit stations, and you don't see any of that anymore.
No, and that stuff is gone. But the original marketing in that 1938 brochure was, he had it all plotted. Here's your house, kitchen, bedroom, family room, living room, all that. And then he also described on the land like you could have maybe, a couple beehives here and vegetable garden here and, fruit trees here. His vision was that, people could do something self-sustaining.
Yeah.
Have something have the country, have fresh air, have their own vegetables. And so he came up with that vision. So he came up with the homestead development.
For sure. He didn't like he wanted everyone to be self-sufficient. He didn't like the incorporation, right? If I remember correct. Yeah.
Because incorporation implied taxes, it implied zoning restrictions. Yeah. And to avoid some of that, you want to have a chicken coop, you want to have a little farm. You want to avoid some of those other expenses that come with incorporating. He had this vision of a homestead. And so he originally called it the homestead development.
Okay, for sure. No, I don't see that name anywhere else.
No.
Yeah.
That name didn't stick either. So, let me backtrack just a little bit. So he
Okay.
divides these parcels of
Yeah.
land. We've heard numbers anywhere from he bought acres for $20 to $25
Oh, wow. Yeah.
to Bartlett himself saying in a 1966 newspaper article that he paid $165 an acre.
Yeah.
Now, if you can imagine during the Depression, that's probably a pretty good chunk
Yeah.
of change.
For sure.
But he turns out to be a very successful businessman. He starts selling those 120 by 120 lots
Okay.
for $390
Yeah.
at one end. I mean, they could cost more. We're on Harlem Avenue. A lot up and down Harlem Avenue, the way they were divided, could cost as much as $1,200.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, so he started selling those out, and he realized homestead development was not a good name.
Yeah.
Okay. He didn't like Harlem Heights. Harlem Avenue, that made sense,
Yeah.
but Harlem Heights wasn't a marketing draw, and so he landed on Palos.
Palos. Yeah. So Palos Heights.
Unincorporated,
Yep.
Palos Heights subdivision, and drawing on the Palos name that people in Chicago already knew because of Palos Park.
For sure.
You know?
Yeah.
And it became its own draw that way.
Yeah, it became its own thing. Now, Dave, I know how these shows work by now. Do we have a place that we could go check out that was a Bartlett home?
I think that's an excellent idea. There are still several Bartlett homes. He only built them for a short time period. Like the first Bartlett homes were built in 1936.
Okay.
All right. But by 1941, he's not building them. All right. Care to guess why? 1941?
World War II.
There you go. All right. Good trivia there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So World War II starts in the United States, and new construction, war materials were needed
Yeah.
for wartime construction.
Okay.
So they weren't able to build anymore. He didn't have that steady supply.
Yeah.
So homes were built from 36 to 41, and they were built after that period, all the way into
Yeah.
the 50s. But he created the lots. He built, by the end of 1941, shortly after World War II was declared, I believe there were about 250 lots had been
Okay.
sold.
Yeah.
About 275 families were going to be moving into the area, or already were in the area.
Yeah.
And we could take a look. There are a couple homes that still exist.
Let's check it
Let's
out.
go do that. So we're at 69th Court. We've got one of the
Yeah.
Bartlett homes behind us right here. And you can tell, and this is a big lot, and if you can imagine buying this in the late 30s, early 40s, you've got 120 feet by 120 feet. You got a lot of land here.
There's some draw to it. And Dave, I got one of those brochures you were
found
talking
one,
about.
the
Yeah.
1938
They talk
brochure?
about disadvantages and advantages, and some of them are like pure air, pure water, and
Yes.
spaciousness.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
That's what you get over here.
Absolutely. You can feel, I mean, yes, it has that quality with the trees, right, and the open
Yeah.
land around as compared to the
city.
right?
Yeah. Stinky, yeah.
Crowding,
Crowded.
right? Yes, there's
Yeah.
a huge advantage to here. So that was the vision. You'd get a piece of land like this, and you could have fruit trees on it. You could have your vegetable garden on it. You could
Yeah.
have a chicken coop. You could have, beehive. You could almost be self-sustaining.
Okay, Dave, I'm a little confused by that because I don't see any beehives, any fruit trees, any
No.
chickens.
Somehow, I don't think that part of his farmland concept
Yeah.
kind of took off. Like I think I mentioned earlier, the last chicken coop, 1941. There's no more chicken coops after
Yeah.
that time period. And even vegetable gardens and fruit trees. I think people probably planted some of that stuff, but that again was a personal preference.
Yeah, personal
thing.
preference, yeah.
The issue was they had the land, they had fresh air, and a pretty good deal for it.
Yeah, so you said this is a Bartlett home. Do you have any more information on this house itself?
That's a good thing. We actually have a chance to talk to the owner about that.
Okay.
Let's do that.
Let's do that.
Beth, thank you for letting us film and record in front of your house. Beth, this house has been in your family for a lot of years. How long have you had it?
Yes. We bought the house in 1985, so 40 years this
Oh my
year.
gosh, 40 years. And the house was built in what year?
I believe around 1939.
39.
Yes.
So the house is 86 years old. You've almost had half its lifespan.
Yes, we have.
Okay.
Yes.
How did you end up buying this house? So you're not the original owner, maybe didn't purchase from the original owner. How did you end up getting it?
Well, both my husband and I grew up in Palos. I grew up in Palos Gardens. He grew up in Navajo. And my great aunt actually lived across the street from here. And growing up, we used to visit her all the time and played in her yard and whatever, knew the people that lived here at the time. So when the house came up for sale, it was just like, wow, this is meant to be. We loved it
Sure.
when we first, from the first moment we saw it, so we decided to buy it.
I say it seems like a natural, and I can imagine you looking across. You had these big, beautiful trees. It's a beautiful lot. Can you tell us a little bit about the house? So you had it for 40 years. I'm guessing there had to have been over that time period some work done to it, or additions, renovating.
Yeah.
What have you?
Yes, quite a bit. So when we bought it, the people before us put a dormer on the back of the house. There was, in the 2000s, when everyone was doing renovations, we were thinking about putting on a big renovation and changing things. And I said, I love the way it looks. So we just decided to do a few things. We added a sunroom on the side here. We took some walls out and we made some rooms bigger, made the flow a little nicer, and added a few things like that.
Okay. I was going to say, it looks beautiful on the outside. It sounds like you've made a great home on the inside, but it still is 86 years old, right?
Yes, lots of renovation. Every year you have to do something major, so.
So think about being in the house for 40 years. Obviously you love the house, love the area, I'm guessing. Can you I'd like to hear from you, like, what does it mean to you to think like you're on one of the original Bartlett lots, one of the homes that was built during Bartlett's development of the area. How do you feel about that? What does it mean to you?
This area is great. I mean, living here my whole life, I've loved Palos. This neighborhood in particular, the lots are large. My son grew up here, and right here in the front yard, it's really big. All the kids in the neighborhood played baseball every day. There were a bunch of boys here all the time. People are so nice. They walk by, they talk to you. You get to learn their dogs' names. And just the whole community. You can walk up to Palos, you can walk to the library, ride your bike around. There's Trinity College, there's Lake Catherine, so just so much to offer.
There is a lot to offer, and it very much has that small town feel to it, even though we're suburbs surrounded by suburbs. Well, Beth, thank you very much for the brief background and history on your home. A beautiful home. I hope you get to enjoy it for a lot of years still to come.
Well, thanks, Dave. Thanks.
Another Bartlett home, this one on Oak Park Avenue. You can tell, I mean, location, size.
Yeah. Dave, hate to go back to an old show, but this would be right on the golf course. I think right about hole 7 right here.
Actually, you're right. I think that's where you chipped on the green over
right there on the creek. And Dave, this house is big, nice house, a lot of land. I mean, right on the golf course.
Yeah.
During the Great Depression, how does someone afford this type of property?
Yeah, another excellent question, because you're right. You're talking about the Depression. Money is hard now. A couple things. Number one, the down payment. If people, and again, this isn't necessarily a small dollar amount in 1939, but if you could generate $100 down payment, you could get this house, the lot, the land, and then build a home on it for monthly payments. And again, depending on the home you built, some of the homes in this area at that time were, you could get it for maybe under $5,000.
Okay.
But a monthly payment, maybe $35 to $40 a month over so many years, people could find themselves getting a nice home, a nice piece of land. Again, with the promise that you're going to help yourself because you're going to have fresh air, fresh water. You're going to grow your own fruits and vegetables and things like that.
Yeah, it's a little bit of an investment.
Yes.
So this house specifically, do we have any information on this house?
We can get a little history on that.
Let's do that.
Kate, Don, thank you very much for taking a couple minutes to visit with us, talk about your home. So again, we're on another Bartlett lot. Kate, what year was the house built?
We believe on 1939.
1939, so it falls into that tight window right before World War II when they were still building homes on the Bartlett lots. But you're not the original owners, right?
No. We know there are at least 2 previous owners. There may have been some before that.
How long have you had the house?
We moved in 2009, so about 16 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's an 86-year-old house. You've had it for 16 of those. But do you know the history of it all? Do you know the background of how it came to be what it is now?
A little bit. We know that for the first 60 years, it was just kind of a 3-bedroom, 2 upstairs, 1 downstairs house with a small kitchen and a living room and 2 baths, which I think at the time was considered pretty luxurious to have 2 bathrooms, But 20 years ago, the previous owners put an addition on the back, and they added a bedroom upstairs and a bath, and then downstairs they added a family room and they enlarged the kitchen. So it's a nice living space now.
It is. When you think about it, part of it is to have a lot this big that you can do these other
Yeah.
additions or add-ons. And that's not the only one, right? The bigger addition, I think, is the garage area.
Right. A year later, then they added a 3-car garage with loft space up above for storage. So we were lucky to have that. They also, the house is kind of on the edges of the lot because they were able to, I think, grandfather it in. Otherwise, houses, I think, at Palos Heights can't be as close to the edge of the lot, but it makes it a nice space for us. You know, it kind of opens up land in between. So,
Yeah, well, it shows you how big the lot is.
Yeah.
The Bartlett designed these big lots
Yeah.
that you can actually fit in a house and almost another house on it, right? That is, in this case, a garage. So, thank you for sharing the history of it. A beautiful home. But for you to, like, sitting on one of the original lots that will become Palos Heights, right? In a home built, you know, in that Bartlett time period. I mean, what is it like for you and your husband to be here now? How does it feel to be part of that?
I think we just feel really privileged to be here. You know, we know what a great house it is, and this community is, it's home. You know, it's a great place. We love our neighbors, but we also have some distance from our neighbors. The lots are big enough. I mean, and that's not a bad thing. It's just comfortable, you know,
Right.
and we have room for gardens, and we have room for trees, and lots of room to play when our kids were younger. We have a patio in the back that we enjoy. We love this space, and the location. I think Bartlett picked a good place because we can walk so many places. We walk to the library and the restaurants in town, and even the grocery store. We ride our bike to the grocery store all the time. So we're just blessed and privileged to be here.
You've hit on so many of the features of it to think, because when you bought these lots in the early 30s, it was out in the middle of nowhere, and people even kind of threw that at Bartlett, like, are you sure? You know, I mean, there was nothing out here but maybe a farm. A golf course did exist across the street from you, right? You have
But
those
I think
fields.
I think we still have a lot. We benefit because we still have some of the original trees in this
Yes,
neighborhood,
yes.
which for us is a big
Yeah.
deal. You know, shade
Right.
is so glorious.
Right,
So.
trees planted then, and how they've matured over almost 100 years. I mean, we get up there. Kate, Don, thank you very much. I hope you both get a lot of years to continue enjoying the home and the community.
Sure. Thank you, Dave.
Dave, I would like to say thank you for the mini tour. I love learning this history of Palos Heights. It gives me some more knowledge I like to have.
It is an interesting story.
Yeah.
We're standing on a spot that literally is kind of like the birth of the Palos Heights community. From Harlem Heights to Homestead Development to Palos Heights today. That's our story.
Yep, thank you, Dave.
I'm Dave Wurzel. You've been watching PHTV 4, Palos Stories Then and Now, Bartlett Homes in the beginning of Palos Heights.
I'm Adam Nilsson. Thank you guys for watching.